Welcome, everybody, to the Off the Wall Hockey Show. It's a hockey show for hockey fans, part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. We are on episode 40, and the NHL season is well underway now as we're over a week into the action. And we got a lot for you here tonight. Obviously, our normal segments is we've got top stories, power rankings, 3 stars, game picks for tomorrow, and so much more. You guys are going to want to stick around. And as always, I am joined here by Steel as my co-host here. And Steel, it's been another great week of NHL action. Our first full week of NHL action now has passed. And I know it's been a lot of fun to watch for me. I'm sure it has been for you as well. You ready for the show tonight?
Man, I'll tell you what, I have been chomping at the bit all day, ever since starting to do the research on Tuesdays to get everything ready for the show. So, man, I've been ready since like last Friday.
Yes.
Right, did we do a show last Friday? Yeah, I've been ready since then, man, for sure. So a lot of great hockey has been already played, and a lot of great storylines have already happened, and we got a lot of great stuff coming up with a lot of great games on the slate already. So, I mean, my gosh, you couldn't ask for a better result. We're getting full capacity stadiums. We're getting, teams playing. We're getting hockey. You're getting hockey.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a really fun start already. I know we're not even a full 2 weeks in, but it's been a fun start to the season. I think there's been a lot of surprises this season too, which is always nice. We always talk about the parity in the NHL and how it's different from a lot of the other major sports leagues that, kind of have their set teams that are good each and every year and the teams that aren't good. And in the NHL, it's kind of more of like that anybody can beat anybody kind of thing going on in the NHL. And to start this season, we don't know if it's going to last long term, but to start this season, we've certainly had a lot of that. And we've had a lot of surprise teams, both in the positive direction and in the negative direction to start this season. And I think that obviously just makes things all the more interesting as we get into meaningful regular season games being played. And I think we're definitely going to be talking about a few of those teams coming up here in top stories and just teams that have kind of surprised a little bit. So with that, top stories, I think we're ready to go. What do you got here, Steel, for top story here?
Top stories, man. There's
a lot.
I was just going to say, okay, so you basically could just close your eyes and reach into a basket, right, and just pull out one and open up a ticket and go, wow. So after the first week, we still have a lot of teams that, haven't even won a game yet.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Wait a minute. You haven't won a game yet? One of those teams is Montreal.
Yep.
You guys went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. You housed your way through the playoffs to get to the finals, and you haven't won a game yet.
Yeah.
What? That's a head scratcher. Chicago. What? You spend all this money, you got all these talent. Well, you haven't won a game yet.
Yep.
I mean, you brought in the Vezina Trophy winning goaltender. You brought in Seth Jones. I mean, where's the wins?
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, we all pretty much expected Arizona to be on this list, but I mean, we thought at least maybe, a game or two they would win here and there. I mean,
yeah, and
I guess the
bad.
here or there hasn't happened yet.
Not yet for Arizona. They've looked really bad. They're giving up so many goals. It's unbelievable.
It is, yeah. So that right there, in and of itself, the fact that you have and quite frankly, it's not just those 3 teams. There's a couple other teams that we could probably throw into that mix too. You know what I mean? That really haven't done that well with 1-win games. I mean, we're only the season only started on the 12th. Okay. So in reality, we're only 10 days in.
Yeah.
So we've only technically the league has only really played what? We're in our sixth game tonight.
Yeah, most teams have played,
Five.
three or four so far.
Yeah, but I mean, there's been some that have played five already.
Yeah, Montreal's played 5.
New York,
Chicago's
I
played
think.
5. I think 5's the most that anyone's played at
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. New
Yeah.
York, I think, is another one that's played five.
Yep. The
Um,
Rangers
I
have played 5.
yeah. So there's been a couple other teams that have too. So, but that I think right there spells exactly with what you said at the very top of the show, the parody
Yep.
that has been put on display at the very beginning of the season. Look, it's not at a point right now where you need to be like, uh, you know, um, you're not sending everybody out on deck to bail just
Mm-hmm.
yet. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
But
it's too early to panic.
okay. Well, thank you. Too early to panic, but I would be concerned,
Mm-hmm.
um, twinge worried, working things out differently in practice, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You're on that same page than I am too. It's like
Yeah, definitely.
something's got to change slightly, but I mean, look, Montreal wasn't really. I mean, they were what, 1 or 2 games away from potentially having a shot at the cup.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
they
yeah.
just went up against the juggernaut of Tampa Bay, and
Yep.
you know, but they stomped their way through the playoffs, statement game after statement game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Coming back all the way and then putting Toronto to bed,
Yep.
right? And then putting the rest of that whole side to bed before we even get to the finals. I was now. Let's also take into account too. Montreal has also faced the fact that Price hasn't started,
Yep. And Shea
and has
Weber's gone.
and Shea Weber is gone as well too.
And Joel
Okay,
Edmondson. So that's 2 major defensemen out for this team.
exactly. And they also, I believe, this. Look, you say what y'all want, but I believe them losing Koken and Yemi is hurting them more than people think. They
Mm-hmm.
already were struggling on offense,
Yeah.
or to get offense, and bringing in Caulfield and then having Suzuki and Koken and Yemi. I mean, those kids were just starting to put it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then in the playoffs, and they sat him.
Yeah.
Koken and Yemi. You know what I mean? And it was like, what are you guys doing? So, whatever, some fallout must have happened, but, I guess that's already water under the bridge now. But I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what's going on there with Montreal. I don't know.
Montreal has 4 goals this season. They've played 5 games, and they have 4 total goals this season.
Wow.
If you want to know what's going on with the Canadians, there's your answer right there. They have 4 total goals in 5 games.
And their goals against
19.
Oh,
They're giving up almost 4 goals a game. 4 goals
Holy
per game
smokes.
they're giving up. And they've scored 4 total through their first 5 games.
That's
Their goal differential is already minus 15.
Oh my gosh.
Through 5 games. I mean, that's the Montreal Canadiens so far this year.
Well, let's hope and pray that there is some kind of light at the end of the tunnel for them.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to hope that things are going to... I mean, they're going to win a game at some point. They have to, but it's definitely not a good start for Montreal.
exactly.
And they're not the only team either.
Chicago,
after all that money, all that hype about Chicago in the offseason, which I never really bought into the same way some others did, but
trust me, bro, me and you were on the same page.
Yeah,
on that
there was
one.
so much hype this offseason about Chicago and getting Jonathan Toews back and bringing in Seth Jones and bringing in Marc-Andre Fleury. They're 0-4-1, and they've given up 21 goals through 5 games.
-12. Minus 12
Minus
differential.
12 goal differential. They've given
Woo.
up 21 goals through 5
Wow.
games. They're
Wow.
giving up over 4 goals a game.
You know, when the Vezina winning goaltender is chasing pucks behind the net, something's not going on there. Something's not right there. Why is he out there chasing after pucks? He has a history of bad things happening when he chases after pucks and he leaves his little blue paint area that's all designated just for him.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. You have a spot just for you. Why don't you stay there? Anyway, very, very much taken aback by what's going on in Chicago as well, too, which that's why I think this is overall, as a bigger picture, I think this is more of a top line story, I think. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I think, especially, I think the two teams that kind of stand out are Chicago and Montreal, because Montreal was literally in the Stanley Cup Finals last year and now have started their new season 0-5. And then Chicago had all that hype around them, all the moves this offseason, everything that was going on with the Blackhawks that brought so much attention to the Blackhawks. And then for them to start their season winless through the first 5 games as well. Arizona, I think we more expected it. Like, we looked at the Arizona roster and we were like, this team is not going to be good. Everybody knew that they weren't going to be good. There's some other teams as well that aren't winless, but have really gotten off to really tough starts. The Colorado Avalanche only have 1 win through their first 4 games. The Winnipeg Jets only have 1 win through their first 4 games. Tampa Bay is 2-2 to start the season. They just have not looked like Tampa Bay.
No.
The New York Islanders 1 win through their first 4 games.
True. And Lee back for the Islanders. Now, Kucherov, he's out now.
Yeah, Kucherov's back on LTIR. He got hurt and is injured again.
Yeah. But this is something that's unrelated, and I think, though,
they
right?
don't have the depth that they had last year.
Well, see, that's going to be the problem.
Kucherov goes out last year, and Tampa's still, they have that depth, that they're a juggernaut of a team. Like, they can survive without Nikita Kucherov with the roster that they had last season. This is not the same Tampa team this year. This is not nearly as deep of a lineup this year as it was last year.
Exactly.
But Kucherov going out is a big loss, and this team in general just hasn't played like Tampa Bay has for the past few years now this season, and that's starting to be a little bit concerning.
It is. You saw Stamkos come out, and he played really well. I mean, even in a losing effort against Pittsburgh in the first game, and then the second game he looked really good, scored 2 goals and everything like that. But then where'd you go? Hey, wait, where'd you go, Stammer? You know what I mean? So that kind of is what is disconcerting as well, to see that particular type of player drop off the planet. Look, I get it. He's getting older now, and he's had a lot of injuries, and I get it, and we're probably going to have to start getting used to seeing that. Look, I don't think that Tampa Bay is going to be that juggernaut that they have been because of their lack of depth now. Yeah. So
no, I agree.
I think they're going to drop a stitch or a peg or whatever you want to call it. But Tampa Bay dropping a stitch or a peg is still,
really good. Like, they should be better than what we've seen. They should be better than what we've seen so far.
Well, okay, yes.
Absolutely. Like, they should be better than how they've looked to this point in the season, without a doubt.
Exactly. See, the great Perlo says that a lot when he talks about Tampa Bay, about how, like, they just kind of don't really seem to pay too close attention to what's going on for the regular season, and then they win just enough to get to where they need to get to, and then the playoffs come, and then boom, flick the switch, everybody's back on par and whatever, and it's like, well, all right, so you reached into the well and you've done that twice. are you going to be able to reach into that well and do it for the third time?
I
That's
don't
going to
think
be
they
the
have a
problem.
deep enough lineup this year to do the
See,
same thing.
exactly. They've been able to do that the last 2 years because they've had a pretty deep well.
Yeah,
A lot of guys to pick from
and
and to plug in.
the guys that they've lost out of their lineup are significant pieces, particularly Yanni Gourde and Blake Coleman. Barclay Goodrow's a significant loss as well. Maybe not as much offensively, but just having that physical presence and, that grinder on that third line. But I think Yanni Gourde was a big loss for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah.
That was an important player for them. And even
Underrated loss.
And Blake Coleman was a loss for this team.
Yeah, another underrated loss, I think, too.
Yeah, so it's not the same Tampa team that we've seen the past 2 years.
Exactly. Now, look, you look at the Islanders only putting one win up.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary, too, seeing as how they got, everybody's back. Landers Lee's back. Everybody so far has been. They've looked relatively good. They just haven't had the puck go their way.
The thing that's kind of caught me with the Islanders is that they are healthy. It's their lineup. It's not like they're missing a bunch of key pieces out of their lineup and they're starting 1, 2, and 1. They have their lineup. They have their team for the most part, and they've only won one game through their first 4. Now, they haven't had Varlamov in goal. He's been out injured. But, Sorokin, I had pretty high expectations for him this year and thought that he would be able to backstop this team to wins. And
good tandem there in the Islanders.
It's been a sluggish start for the New York Islanders, and they've given up 15 goals. That's not very Islanders-like to give up 15 goals through 4 games. That's over 3 goals a game. We're used to that defensive Islanders style of hockey that limits opponents to only 1 or 2 goals.
Exactly.
And we haven't seen that yet. So that's something that is definitely caught my eye with the New York Islanders. Now, again, it's very, very early. It's way too early to be panicking or overreacting to these things, but just out of the gate, you kind of pick up on different things going on as the teams start to get a couple games under their belt. And for New York, that's what stuck out to me is the fact that they're not keeping the puck out of their net the way that we're used to seeing the Islanders keep the puck out of their net.
Exactly. Or they're not keeping teams to, it's not those low scoring games.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them haven't been.
They're giving up a lot of goals, and that's just definitely not New York Islanders hockey. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, but that aside, that I think in itself is a story itself, is the fact that there's so many of these teams that were quote unquote expected to play or be better this year and just really haven't been able to kind of get out of the gates yet, if you will. They're still kind of doing the formation lap, Yeah. We're only 5 games in, so it's not like, oh my gosh, it's no time to panic.
Yeah.
But that bead of sweat is rolling down the forehead.
Yeah, it's some of these teams, it's kind of like, wait, what's going on here?
Right.
This isn't how it's supposed to be going.
Exactly.
Yeah. But with a full 82 game season, there's certainly plenty of time for these teams to turn things around.
And practice time.
Yeah. Yeah, but
so
there are definitely some teams that aren't happy with their starts. There's still plenty of time to get things on the right track and get things turned around and moving in the right direction. But you don't want to dig yourself too big of a hole at the beginning of the season that you then have to try and climb out of. And some of these teams definitely are not going to be happy with the way that they've come out of the gate, for sure.
And exactly with what you said there, John, man, that perfect analogy. Because if you get into too deep of a hole now, right, you might not be able to climb out of it. Even if you have 82 or even if you have 75 or 6 games.
Yeah.
That's still a long hill to climb if you're already winless.
Especially if you're in a good division where you have teams ahead of you that are going to be difficult to catch, because every time you win a game, they also win a game, and all of a sudden it's really hard to make up ground.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, that has been the bane of a lot of teams, is that if you can't come out to at least, like those first, I'd say the first 20 games.
Yep.
Right? That first 20 games, that's like the first like real measuring stick of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Because that's about what, a quarter?
That's about a little less, almost a quarter of the season. So
Okay.
the first 20 games are usually kind of that first measuring stick of like the microcosm of how the whole season is shaping up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're still into that first 20 games. We haven't had that, your last 10 games.
Yeah.
Right. So when you start getting into your life, when you've played that many games already, when you played 20 games now,
Yeah.
okay, now you've traveled some, you've been at home some, you've had a couple of days off, you've had a back-to-back, you see what I'm saying? So now you've been in all those situations that you're going to encounter for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so how do you handle things at the 20 game mark? Where are you record wise? Where are you as far as your team, your health? Those are huge factors, especially the first 20 games, because you look at teams that win the Stanley Cup. Tampa Bay historically, not so good in the regular season, but for the most part, they regularly win more games throughout the month than they lose.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if you're one of those type of elite teams, you tend to win more of those, like Boston, and you tend to win more of those games.
Yeah.
Washington, Pittsburgh, these are the types of teams that tend to win more of those games just because they just do. You know what I mean? And that's what you have to get to, is to be able to just win more of those games.
Yeah, I want at least 12 wins in those first 20 games.
Yeah. All right, I'm with you, because that 12-8 is not.
And you might have some OT losses in there. You might grab a couple extra points. So if you're 12-6-2, through those first 20 games, like that's a good spot to
26. So that's 26 out of a total of, so 20 games, so that's 40 points. So you're getting 26 out of a total of 40 points?
Yeah.
So that's more than half. So if you're over 20, you're doing all right.
Yeah. I want at least 12 wins out of those first 20 games. If you're ahead of that, even better. You're looking like a playoff team. But I think if you have less than that, you're down towards 500. Like that's when you're more like on that borderline of like you've got to be better as the season goes along if you're going to make the playoffs.
If you can maintain and be even, right, at that 20 game mark, you have a shot.
You have a shot.
Right. But if you're below that mark,
you're in a hole.
Right. Okay.
You're in a hole at that point. If you're below 500 at the 20 game mark, you're in a hole. It's not impossible to climb out of. We've seen it before. St. Louis did it the year they won the cup. I mean, they were dead last in the league in January. Like mid-season, they were dead last.
Their coach and brought a new coach in, and bing, hey,
yeah. They were dead last in January. So like, it's not that you can't climb out of it, but you're putting yourself in a position where it's going to be a heck of a lot harder to make the playoffs and go further in the playoffs if you're under 500 at the 20 game mark. You want to be at least 500 to have a shot. And I personally would like to win 12 out of those first 20 games, at least to have yourself in a position where you're looking like a playoff team.
Exactly. Because if you just take and say the season ends after 20 games, right? So that's kind of how I look at the first 20 games of the season.
Yep.
If the season were to end today, what's your record? Where you are? What are you? What's your, what's your seeding? What position are you in?
Yep.
You're top of the league, bottom, whatever. So after those first 20 games, and that's always been my measuring stick on a team. And I also agree with you 110%. there have been so many times where you see teams that are below 500. That's too big of a hole to climb out of, especially in today's NHL where each league is so tight at the top.
Yeah.
Where there's so much competition, so much parity that, you go on a bender and you lose 3 or 4 games and boom, you're out of the playoffs.
Yeah, you could drop three spots in the standings by losing 4 straight games.
I mean,
that's how close a lot of these points are between these teams.
Exactly.
That's a 6 to 8 point swing, and all of a sudden you go from third in the division to out of the playoffs altogether.
Exactly. So it's not quite as pronounced as it was last year because of the condensed season and the condensed amount of games and everything like that. But it's still the same kind of situation where now if you just take the first 20 games and throw them in the garbage and you're coming out at the rest of the 40 games below 500, you're already in a hole. And that's a much harder situation to climb out of because all the teams around you are better and they continue to win. So you don't ever get to gain any ground on anybody. Yeah. Even if you win against them, it's not like you get to gain anything other than, say, a tiebreaker. But if they finish so far ahead of the points, it's not going to matter. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I remember seeing something, it was a couple years ago. It was before the last 2 seasons that were shortened and, things were different. So it doesn't take the last 2 seasons into account. But if you go back to the last time the NHL had a full 82-game season, it was 2019. I remember seeing something that said, I think 80 to 85% of the teams, it was somewhere in there, that are in a playoff spot after the first 20 games are playoff teams come the end of the season. So if you're in a playoff spot after those first 20 games, there's a high likelihood that you're a playoff team. And then if you're not in a playoff spot, there's only like a 10 to 15 to 20% chance of you getting into a playoff spot by the time that you get to the end of the year. So generally the teams that get off to those, playoff level starts are teams that make the playoffs at the end of the year.
Generally.
There's always an exception here or there. And like I said, St. Louis was one of the biggest exceptions we've ever seen with their 2019 run, where they went from literally dead last to a Stanley Cup champion.
But then it goes the other way too.
That's such an exception from what normally happens.
Right. Normally it goes the other way.
Yeah.
Where you can't even climb out of that hole and you just stay dead last, and you know what I mean. So, well, listen, man. I think we covered your top story too.
Mine was just Montreal and their 0-5 start. I think that's one of the biggest stories being talked about right now. I mean, this was a team that was in the Stanley Cup Finals, but we talked about who's not in the lineup for them, with Shea Weber gone maybe forever, Carey Price not there, Edmondson out, 2 big losses on the back end. But Montreal's, I mean, a lot of people were expecting Montreal not to be as good, and I had them missing the playoffs this year, but I don't think anybody really expected them to start winless through 5 games. Like, that's a really bad start for the Canadiens.
You're seeing the true value of some players that are currently not in the lineup or currently not on the team, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, that's kind of what's going on there in Montreal.
Yeah,
so
Montreal, I want to get into your
along
with the other teams not having good starts. Yeah.
Exactly. I want to get into your second top story because I fought really long and hard about who I was going to put in my stars of the week, and I figured after I saw this, I thought I felt better not putting him.
Yeah, we both had him last week because he had a monster first week of the season.
Okay.
But it's still continuing. It's Anze Kopitar.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is playing like prime Anze Kopitar. Like, when you go back to when the LA Kings were winning Stanley Cups in the early to mid 2010s, and Kopitar was, one of their best players and their number 1 center. He's still their number 1 center. but he's getting older now. He's been in the
Longer
league
in
for
the
a
tooth.
long time, but his numbers over the past couple years have dipped a little bit. But this year, he's got 8 points through 3 games. I mean, he is looking like prime elite Anze Kopitar to start this season. I think in a lot of ways that's great for the LA Kings. In a lot of other ways, you gotta. I feel like there's somewhat of a negative to that they're supposed to be this young team with all this young talent. Yet here's this guy in his 30s now that's been in the league for over a decade outshining all of these young guys. Like, I want to see more from LA's younger players, but at the same time, I think it's really good. Like, if you can have Anze Kopitar playing at this level, that makes the Los Angeles Kings a much better team. And he's playing like he was when they were winning Stanley Cups.
Yeah, exactly. And then you sprinkle in some of their younger talent.
Yeah, I want to see more from those younger guys. Like, it's been
I
a lot.
agree.
It's been veteran heavy for the Kings to start this season. I want to see those young guys have a bigger contribution.
It might be a situation where it's veteran heavy now.
Yeah. And as the year goes along, those younger guys might get more comfortable and pick it up.
And get more time.
Yeah.
And you'll start to see some of the veterans drop off, or you'll see the kids getting more ice time and more ice time and more ice time. I think that's what's going to happen with LA, because they've been kind of on that cusp of getting over the hump of the rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Like like when they get the nice black top down, but before they do, there's that kind of that dirty level that just kind of they have to work out all the kinks.
Yeah.
Right. And then before they put down the nice, fresh, new tarmac, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's going on here with LA. And I think they just need to have that season where it's a nice road and it's blacktop, but there's some ruts and grooves and it's not perfect.
Yeah, this is their first year out of a rebuild, in my opinion.
Exactly.
I know. Before last year, I know Todd McClellan and Rob Blake were talking about how we don't feel like we're a rebuilding team anymore, but they were still very much in a rebuild last season. This year, to me, after they go out in free agency, they bring in or they trade for Arvidsson, they bring in Deneau as a free agent, they bring in Edler as a free agent.
Oh yeah.
Like when you start bringing in veteran guys like that, you're openly saying like we're going for that next step. So This is kind of that first year for LA of them trying to go for that next step, and it's definitely going to be a little bit of a work in progress, and it's going to take some time, but it has not taken any time for Anze Kopitar to get his season going, as he's been phenomenal so far to start this year.
Well, see, that's why I wanted to talk about that, because that then props him up.
Yep.
And that basically just allows this veteran savvy, really, really good goal scorer to be able to have an influence on the younger players that are on the team.
Yep.
To where he has more of an impact and an influence on them. And maybe he's more of I mean, for lack of a better term, coach on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But he's doing it by example. I'm not saying that he is the coach on the ice. He's doing it by example.
Yeah.
This is how you do it, guys.
And he's the captain of the team.
Right. Okay. See, this is how you be a professional.
Yeah.
This is how you score goals. This is how you act when you score goals. This is how you do it. This is that's what I think is going on here with Anze, and I believe that he has fully embraced it. And I think, and we both felt that LA was poised to take that next step.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, there's a couple other teams I think that are kind of on that cusp as well. I think New Jersey's one of them.
Yep.
Definitely. And I just, they just kind of feel like they're kind of, the same thing with LA. They're just kind of starting to, oh, hey, we better take notice of this team. They're actually playing pretty good. Hey, all right, take a look at that. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, well, Kopitar is definitely, he stood out to me through these first few games, whereas like a veteran guy who's had his numbers decline a little bit over the last few years, all of a sudden is just bursting back onto the scene as like this guy that's playing in his prime again, and he's had a phenomenal start with 8 points in 3 games. And speaking of guys with phenomenal starts, your number 2 story brings up somebody who also is off to an incredible start.
I mean, there so far in the first 5 games, we've had goal scoring records, 2 of them, right? We've had a goalie reach 50 games with Carter Hart, and we've had some other things happen. That one of the things we're going to talk about, and that's Connor McDavid getting his 200th goal.
Yeah.
I mean, dang, that was quick. That didn't take long, did it?
Yeah, no. And I mean, obviously a premier player, and he's off to another ridiculous start.
I know.
But 200 goals already. I mean, Connor McDavid, if you can believe it, this is what his 6th season in the NHL, which is unbelievable.
Wait. No. Say that again. Slower.
6th season in the NHL. It feels like he's still a kid.
Well, he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's only,
gosh.
18. He's only, 24, and he's in his 6th season in the NHL. Yeah. He's got 200 goals as a 24-year-old.
So is he the fastest, or that was Gretzky, right? We might have to get our crack research team in the basements of the NHL statistics to see that he's got to be in some rarefied air, I have to think, to get to 200 goals that quick.
Yeah, I'll get on the crack research here. Let's see. So Wayne Gretzky was the fastest. Get this, Wayne Gretzky was 21 when he scored his 200th career goal.
Wow.
He was 21. Mario Lemieux is the second fastest. He was 22. Okay. Dale Howard-Chuck was the third fastest at 22, right, but a little bit older. You know who number 4 was? He's still playing in the league to this day. It's not Connor McDavid. Steven Stamkos.
Really?
Steven Stamkos was the 4th youngest player to reach 200 goals. He was 23 years old.
Okay.
That shows you how elite Stamkos was. And I feel like a lot of, because of the injuries and how much he hasn't become a bad player. I mean, he's still a really good player, but he's dropped off. I feel like he's dropped off, and like people, I think, have forgotten how elite young Steven Stamkos was. Wow. And I really think we were robbed of like an all-time great player. Like if Stamkos hadn't had the injuries, especially that broken leg and like the major injuries that he had.
I know.
Like, we could have been watching an all-time great player who has still been a great player, but not quite at that elite level. Man, when you look back at something like that Steven Stamkos was the 4th youngest player to reach 200 goals, you just realize what could have been with him had he not had those injuries.
But that puts Connor McDavid as 5th, right? Or tie for 5th or whatever. Because he was 24.
Yeah,
right?
I don't have I just looked it up. There were the top 4 there.
So we can maybe potentially assume that he's at least in the top.
He's certainly
10.
In the top 10.
Yes. I would say he's in the top 6.
Here we go. Let's see if this article has it.
Our crack research staff.
Well, he's the 4th. Oh, this is going by games played, not age. He did it in 411 games, which is the 4th fastest in Oilers history. That's obviously just Edmonton. Wayne Gretzky being one of them who did it with Edmonton, who is the fastest of all time. This doesn't have it based on age, though.
Okay, but he did it in how many? 411 games?
411 games for McDavid to get to 200 goals. And obviously he has even more assists than goals.
Okay, so at well over I mean, he's approaching what, 2 point something points a game. I mean, he's averaging 1.79% or 1.79 goals per game.
That math is.
Yeah, it's the other way.
It's half. So he's
half of that.
Half a goal. He's like a little
0.75.
under half a goal a game, but points per game, he's way higher than that.
Yeah, okay.
Goals wise, it's about half. It's about a goal every other game for McDavid.
Every other game is a goal, but every other game it's a goal. You play for 411 games, and every other game it's a goal. Hey, all right. Pick me.
If you look at points, he has 585 career points in 411 games. So he's well over a point per game.
Oh, yeah. It's like 1.3 something, whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah.
He's well over a point per game.
Okay, but the fact that he got to it in 411 games, holy smokes, man.
And for a modern player, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, modern players, I got to think it's like Stamkos and McDavid that are in that category of like doing it that fast. Because like Lemieux, that was the 80s. Gretzky, that was the 80s. Howard Chuck, that was back in, probably Howard Chuck would have been late 80s.
I would say you could say Lemieux was more 90s because that's when Pittsburgh was winning the cups.
But his first 200 goals would have been in the 80s because he was drafted in 84.
Okay.
So his first 200 goals would have been in the 80s, and he really, he got into his mid-20s before they started winning cups.
Oh my gosh, man. All right, well, we're just proving how old I am, too.
But yeah, as far as like modern players go, for him to get to his 200th goal that fast, I wonder how fast Ovechkin did it. I imagine he was.
Or Matthews, or is Matthews there yet?
Well, let's find out. Austin Matthews. I don't know if he's at 200 yet. Because he was drafted a year. No, he's at 199.
Okay.
Matthews is at 199 and 335 games played. So he's actually done it in way less games played.
Wow. And he's also what? He's the same age,
he's
though,
24. Right? So they're both 24, but he's done it in way less games played.
Wow. Well, that's all right.
Add Matthews to that list.
I scratch my second story and scratch out Connor McDavid and put in Austin Matthews. Like, wow, 200 goals almost. That was quick.
He's one away. Did he score tonight?
Hold on.
The Leafs just played. If
if
he scored tonight, that would have been 200. It wouldn't have updated on his page yet.
Well, the game they did lose.
Yeah, I saw that.
5-3. So hold on, let me see if I can pull up the.
He did not have a goal tonight. He was actually had no points. It was -2. So not a great night for Austin. But he is at 199, and he's going to do it in way less games than McDavid. But Matthews is more of a goal scorer, whereas McDavid's more of a playmaker.
Exactly. And so what's more impressive, Matthews doing it or McDavid doing it?
Oh, I just think the sheer few games that Matthews has done it in. But again, like if I'm looking for goal scoring, I'm going to Austin Matthews over McDavid, whereas McDavid's more of a point producer. Like for points, I'm going to McDavid. For goals, I'm going to Matthews. Because Matthews has 199 goals, but he's only got 351 points. Like he has more goals than assists by a pretty good amount.
Right.
Whereas
and
McDavid,
60 some less games that he's played.
Yeah, but McDavid's got like 585 points, and he's got way more assists. He's got like twice as many assists as goals.
Right. And what about like
very different style players?
Is McKinnon on that list?
Nathan McKinnon is older, so let me check. I mean, McKinnon's definitely over 200 goals, but he was drafted back in 2013, so he's 26 now. So he's a couple years older. He's got 210 goals, 575 games played. So definitely not as prolific, but he's got 562 career points. Again, McKinnon's another one of those guys that more assists than goals, more of a point producer, playmaker than a pure goal scorer.
I'm with you.
Matthews is a different breed. Like he's more in that Ovechkin-esque, like there to shoot the puck.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, like, what's your job on the what? Austin Matthews, you just won the game. What's your job on the team? I'm here to score goals.
Yes, that is
Matthews,
the
so what's your job on the team? I'm
score.
here to score goals.
Yeah,
You know what? That's what he's there to do, score goals.
absolutely.
So that's what he's doing. Hey, cool. But now that you even put that into more perspective with Matthews being that close and still having played what 60 some odd less games.
Yeah, I mean McDavid's at 411 and he's at 335 and
Oh my gosh, it's more than 60 games.
and he's got almost the same number of goals.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's like an 80
That's a
80ish
season.
75ish game
season.
difference. Yeah, it is a season. It is basically a season difference cuz McDavid was the year before Matthews in the draft.
Okay, well there you
So
go. Then.
it literally is a season difference, and then they've both missed time with injuries. But I guess that games wise, seems like it's almost evened out. So
Wow.
it is basically a season difference, and
But that says a lot about Matthews, though, doesn't
well,
it?
that's why I'm saying like I think this torch is being passed from Ovechkin
Yeah.
to Matthews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it's like that greatest goal scorer of this generation. It's been
Yeah.
Ovechkin for the last 15 years. I think that torch is being passed to Austin Matthews, and he's that pure goal scorer, as opposed to the other great players like McKinnon and McDavid, who have are great. Obviously some of the best players in the league and that we've seen in this entire generation, but they have that playmaking ability. They're good goal scorers, but they're not just solely pure goal scorers. They're playmakers who rack up points, have more assists than goals. Matthews is in that same Ovechkin-like ilk where it's goal scoring. Like he is there to put the puck in the net, and I think that's where that torch is being passed.
I was listening to they had a mic'd up thing where they were Peter Laviolette was mic'd up for Capitals practice.
Mm-hmm.
This was like maybe a couple days ago,
Yeah.
right? And so I was listening to it because I have respect for Peter Laviolette and what he's doing and the whole 9 yards. And so and Ovechkin keeps skating around him, and Peter Laviolette just says, "Yeah, just shoot the puck."
Yeah. Yep,
right?
That's what he's there
Practice? He's I want you up there at the top of the circle. No, Alex, I just need you to shoot the puck.
Yep.
Yeah, like every time he blows the whistle. No, Ovi, just shoot the puck.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, all right, I get it.
When you have a player like that's a pure goal scorer, you just want them shooting the puck.
That's what they are making the big bucks for. So give them the puck and let them do it. I mean, it's not rocket science as far as I'm concerned.
No, that's as easy as it gets as far as coaching goes.
Hey, guys, hey, all right, everybody, huddle up. All right, now, when you get the puck, give it to number 8.
And he's gonna shoot.
Right?
You're gonna get assists, and he's gonna shoot and score.
Ready, break.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want to get into your third story because I think it ties directly into my third story.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell all the great folks there what your third top story is for this week?
How about those Florida Panthers? I mean, to me, Florida's been the most dominant team out of the gate. Like, they're the number one team in the league right now as far as the way that they're playing. And just them firing on all cylinders to start this season. They're 4-0-0. And it's not just that they're winning, but they're winning impressively. And they're playing great hockey. And they look great out there on the ice. And they've beaten the Lightning. They've beaten the Penguins. They've beaten the Avalanche. Like, it's not like they're going out there and playing, winless teams and going 4-0, beating a bunch of nobodies. Like, they are out there beating very good hockey teams and making very good teams, or teams that at least were supposed to be very good, look silly. Now, they didn't make Pittsburgh look silly. That was just a great hockey game that they were able to win in overtime. But they beat up on the Tampa Bay Lightning. They beat up on the Colorado Avalanche. Like, they've gone out and looked incredibly impressive to start this year. And I think Florida just coming out the way that they have, to me, has been one of the biggest and most fun things to watch to start this season. This is a great team to watch.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that 110% because I'm waiting. I am just waiting for the no-look spinorama pass from Huberdeau.
For the Jonathan Huberdeau patented pass.
Waiting for that to take off this year. I mean, come on. Give it to me, baby.
The offense on this team is insane. Like they have four lines that can score goals with ease. They have 18 goals through 4 games. They're scoring over 4 goals a game to start this year.
Jeez. They were deep into the playoffs last year. They unfortunately they ran into, the juggernaut of Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they got a bad first-round matchup having to face the Lightning, who got Kucherov back just in time for that series.
Just in time. Hey, yeah. And then when Kucherov came back, lit it up. Cuz he'd been sitting there for a month waiting. Oh, wait. Anyway, so
but even to me, like even just through 4 games, and again, it's very, very early, and there will be bumps in the road at points. But even to me, this Florida team feels like it has higher potential than last year's team.
Agreed.
And last year's team was a really good hockey team. They finished second in their division. They were, an 80-plus point team, and I mean, they were a really good hockey team last year. And I feel like this year's team has even more potential than what they did last season.
I agree. I believe it has a lot to do with their offense. I believe it also has a lot to do with the fact that at some point, look, the fact that we're going to, my third story, top story is
ties right in
because Bob has gotten his 300th win for Florida, right? And so as Bob's going, so is the Panthers. And even sprinkle in, Spencer Knight has been, I believe, is a huge improvement for their second goalie.
Yeah, he played the game against the Lightning, and he was outstanding. Only gave up one goal, was absolutely outstanding. But Bobrovsky it's good that you brought him up because this has been, kind of a black mark on the Panthers was, giving Bobrovsky this massive contract and then him playing, pretty lousy the past 2 years. Bobrovsky's off to a really good start this year. If he gets back to being Columbus Blue Jackets, Sergei Bobrovsky, watch out because then this team might have the best tandem in the entire NHL.
And we all know how goalies tend to be a bit of a odd duck.
Yes.
Okay. And we all know how potentially superstitious and streaky goalies can be.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get Bob going in the right direction and you get him on the wheel where it's spinning down the road in the right direction like it is right now, then I think we're going to see as he goes. And the other thing I think that has been improvement for Florida has been their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they've also been able to put up the points.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this might be the best offensive team in the NHL.
Okay. So I think they are picking up from where they left off last year. It was a bad beat getting Tampa Bay in the first round and pretty much not being able to overcome Tampa Bay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they finished higher in the standings than Tampa Bay did. They were the higher seed in the division than Tampa Bay was. That's just the way it worked out. But I think they've built on that. I think that's the key thing I think about Florida is that they are able to roll 4 lines.
Oh, yeah. And 4 lines that can put the puck in the net.
Exactly. So, and you have a Vezina winning goaltender back there stopping the puck.
Finally playing like it.
And finally playing. Let's see, that's always been the dangerous part about Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Because even last year's team, if if Bob would have played 80% of his Vezina caliber trophy self, Florida would have probably maybe have won that series.
Yep.
Because what was the thing that let them down?
Goaltending.
Their goaltending.
Goaltending
right?
in that playoff series was horrendous.
It was.
Until Spencer
They had
Knight
to bring
came in
Spencer
at the end.
Knight in to try and save a game or two.
Yep.
You know, so like I said, I didn't think they were that far apart or that far away last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the goaltending let them down. If they're playing that much better now this year with an improved defense and a better offense, and now suddenly the goaltending is a step better, man, you might even have to put Florida as.
I think they're a favorite at this point.
You'd have to put them there.
They're looking like one of the absolute top 3 teams in the league right now.
They have basically gone toe-to-toe with the heavyweights of the league and punched them all in the mouth.
Yeah.
Not just one, but all of them. Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, right?
The Islanders they played.
The Islanders.
Also, Islanders are not off to a great start despite, the expectations for them. But
I'm just saying, man, I'm just putting 6 and 6 together to get 29. You know what I mean?
Florida's a scary team. And if you want to put Sergei Bobrovsky's numbers into perspective, last year he had a .906 save percentage. Through his first 3 games this year, .944.
Okay.
Yeah. His goals against last year was 2.91. Through his 3 games he started this year, 1.99.
That feels like Vezina caliber Bob to me.
Yeah, that is Columbus Blue Jackets Sergei Bobrovsky coming back. Now, can he keep that up over the course of the entire season? That is the question. But if the Panthers get that level of goaltending with the team that they have in front of him, the Florida Panthers might be a President's Trophy winners this year.
Oh, let's not do that to them. Come on.
Well, they're on the way right now.
Let's not do that to them. I would much rather them. I don't want to put them in there. No, I think Edmonton might be the one for that. If they continue,
that would set Edmonton up for another playoff disappointment if they win the President's Trophy and then don't win the Stanley Cup.
I know. Oh, well. I just didn't want to put Florida in that.
I like Florida. The Panthers are a fun team to watch and a fun team to root for.
I agree, but I don't want them to win the Presidents. I want them to actually have a chance for the Cup.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd love to see them make a run. I would love to see Florida make a run. That's a team that I feel like is one of those teams that a lot of people can get behind and root for.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
They could be like last year's Carolina Cinderella story team was.
Yeah, who hates the Florida Panthers? Other than maybe Tampa Bay because they're, cross-state rivals.
Or Carolina.
Yeah, but there aren't, the Panthers aren't a team that are widely hated. I feel like if they were to go on a playoff run, they would get that support from the masses as if they were to make the Final Four and everybody else's team was out, they would be that team that got the big push from the masses. Everyone would be rooting for Florida.
Because they're that, wait, Florida has another hockey team? Are they in Jacksonville?
Yeah.
What? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really? There's another hockey team in Florida? Yeah, it's called the Florida Panthers. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, all right. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm so sold on Florida, and congratulations to Bob getting his 300th win. When you start getting into the 300, 400 win range, you know what I mean? You're
starting to get your name mentioned with, especially, I feel like 400 is really when you get into that territory of it being when you get that 400th win, like you're being talked about with some, all-time goaltenders. But
Yeah,
even
when you get to
300
400, yeah,
300 is an impressive accomplishment. There's a lot of goaltenders that have played in the NHL that have never hit 300 wins.
exactly. And you start talking about 350 wins,
Yep.
you start getting mentioned as the Hall of Famer.
Having potential, yeah. And then 400 wins, I think, is a massive benchmark for.
Yeah, obviously. But I think if you get to 350, you got to start putting your name in there as a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
If Bob comes out of 350 wins, are you kidding?
Well, do you think he needs a cup? He's won the Vezina Trophy twice. He now has 300 career wins. He's certainly not at the end of his career yet. I mean, what's Bobrovsky now? Early 30s? Like, he's got to be like, 31, 32, something like 32. That? Oh, he's all right, he's 33. So
all right, still.
You got to figure he has at least, 5 years left.
Well, his contract says he's got...
Well, he's got like six seasons left on his contract, so
he's got at least 6 left in him.
As long as he lasts that long. But you got to figure at 33 years old, he's going to play another 5 to 6 years
potentially.
I mean, he's got a real shot at 400 wins. I mean, all he has to do is get 20 wins a year.
3 years. Yeah, if he gets 20 wins for the next 3 years,
Well, that would put him at 360, and yeah, I mean, I think a cup would definitely go a long way to his resume. But 2 Vezina trophies, 300 plus wins. I mean, if he hits 400 plus wins, I think then he's got a real good shot of being, one of those goalies that is.
Like I said, I think if he gets past 350, even if he doesn't win a cup, I think if he gets to 350 and past, I think you have to consider him.
Yeah, I think he'll get consideration. But how many did Ryan Miller get? Ryan Miller finished with 391 career wins.
Something like that, yeah.
I feel like he's one of those guys that is like discussed. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Is he not?
But did he ever? How many Vezinas did he win?
That's a great question.
I don't think he won any Vezinas, or maybe he did only win one. I don't remember.
I feel like he got one in Buffalo.
Yeah, but
Vezina Trophy in 2009, 2010 with the Buffalo Sabres.
So he did win one.
He did win a Vezina, and he had 391 career wins. I feel like he's one of those borderline goalies that's talked about as like, they don't know. We don't know if he's going to get in or not. Because there are some very good goaltenders who are not in the Hall of Fame.
I agree, but I think if you talk about getting to that kind of number and 2 Vezinas, one is all right. You did it once, okay, but to get it twice,
yeah,
okay.
I just think a cup would go a long, long way.
Oh, yeah. I think a cup would pretty much just nail the coffin shut on that one.
Mm-hmm.
He would still have to get to at least 350 wins, I still think.
Oh, definitely. But if he's going to be a starting goaltender for a Stanley Cup, he's going to certainly hit 300. He's certainly going to have to get 50 more wins in his NHL career.
Exactly. So,
to me, like that 400 mark is going to be the big one. If he gets there, then he's got a good shot.
Couldn't disagree with you anymore, man. I think that's, and I even think it's attainable for him too.
Oh, I do too. I think again, if he averages 20 wins, which he should get more over at least the next few years, if he averages 20 wins a season for the next 5 years, he's at 400.
Yeah, winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, speaking of winner, chicken dinners.
Yes,
it is our time for our favorite time of the show, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We are talking about the top shelf power rankings. Man, I wanted to get into this because we've kind of been on a roll, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, John, I want you to go first with your top shelf power ranking.
Yep.
Number 5.
This was hard to put in an order because there are a lot of teams that are off to good starts and haven't lost yet in regulation. But coming in at number 5, I have the Washington Capitals. They are 3-0-1 to start the year. They have a +9 goal differential. And the only loss came against Tampa Bay in overtime. That was their only loss that was not a regulation loss, and they won their other 3 games. I just watched them last night dismantle the New Jersey Devils, and that was a dominant performance from start to finish, and that almost made me want to put Washington higher, but then I saw all these other teams that are all also off to very, very good starts. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be difficult. But Washington, to me, definitely in the top 5. And this was a team that I kind of thought might take a step back this year.
Yeah, me too.
Not so far. And the biggest standout to me has been Vitek Vanacek in goal. I mean, this guy looks like he could potentially win the Vezina this year. I mean, at least early on in the few games that he's played, he has been absolutely unbelievable for the Capitals to start this year. And if they get goaltending like that all year, you can kiss that step back goodbye, and the Capitals are going to be right back as being one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference.
That was what we were questioning about Washington coming into the season, was their goaltending tandem.
Yeah.
Right? And so with him stepping up like that,
he looks unbelievable.
And then with, the grade 8 continually, like every time he scores a goal now, it's a record.
He's got 4 goals already this year.
That's what I mean. And every time he scores
4 goals in 4 games for Ovechkin.
That's dangerous, folks.
That's
dangerous.
No slowing down there in Alex Ovechkin.
I mean, just because there's a little snow on the roof doesn't mean there isn't a fire burning down inside. You get what I'm saying, right?
He's still elite as it gets when it comes to putting the puck in the net.
Do he is one of the last of the great, Eastern Bloc athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was, I don't want to say they were bred for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of putting him in a bag, per se. But let's just say that he was planned on.
Oh, yeah. That name was being talked about when he was still, 15 years old.
Okay.
And they knew that Alex Ovechkin was coming and he was going to be something special.
Right. Okay, so you only get that once in a lifetime, a la Wayne Gretzky.
Mm-hmm.
He's the numbers he's chasing right now. So every time he scores, he eclipses another Gretzky goal. Right, and that's what he's kind of doing now, right?
Oh,
every time he scores,
he's chasing Gretzky's
that's what I mean.
All-time record. Yes.
Yeah.
And every time he passes somebody, it's a legendary player that he's passing.
Exactly.
He just passed Marcel Dion, who a lot of people look at as the greatest player to never win a Stanley Cup.
Man. So, and Alex has got one at least.
Yeah, and he did. He did finally get his cup in 2018, and
exactly.
I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon.
We both thought that Washington was going to take a step back. It doesn't appear to be that.
No, I didn't think Ovechkin was necessarily going to step back. I just thought the team was, but their defense and goaltending has been way better than I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. And that's where we had questioned this team coming into the season was their goaltending and their defense. For my number 5 team, I had Washington, Rangers, San Jose Sharks, Minnesota.
A lot of teams that haven't lost yet.
Pick one. All right, seriously. It's like, how do you? Rangers have looked amazing this year.
They lost that first game.
You don't even have them on your list.
No, they lost that first game, but they just haven't. I mean, since then, they've gotten it right back on track, and I think that's a big. Remember last year, the Rangers had a really lousy start to the season. That's kind of set them back the whole year.
Yeah.
They didn't let that happen this year. They lost that first game. It wasn't a great performance, but then they got it right back on track, and now they've won 3 in a row.
So that was kind of where number 5 for me was the teams that were either on the bubble
Mhm.
or which is why I had to do multiples
Yeah.
because I couldn't there's too many tied for
San
with the
Jose won again tonight, hasn't lost yet.
oh my
Minnesota
god.
hasn't lost yet.
So like I said, I mean, what? All right, most of all of these are all the same teams, just in a slightly different order,
Uh,
right?
yeah, it is the same. Our top four are the same four teams, but we do have them in a different order.
Exactly.
Yes.
So for number 4, who do you have?
I have the St. Louis Blues at number 4. They've impressed me with how they've started. Like, I had the Blues as a playoff team this year. I thought they were going to be better than they were last year, but they've come out and really, really impressed me. Their offense is really firing. They
Yes.
were also able to win a low-scoring game against Vegas the other night. That was good to see that, they didn't have to come out and score 5 or 6 goals to win. They won a 2-1 hockey game. So that was good to see. They have 3-0-0 to start the year, got a +7 goal differential. St. Louis is my number 4 team. I've really liked what I've seen from them.
Uh Tarasenko playing has
Game-winning
really
goal Wednesday.
okay. So I was watching that game as
Yep.
well. Okay, so him playing has really helped St. Louis. Okay, their goaltending has also been a step better than what it was last year.
Bennington's had a solid start to the year.
Exactly.
He played fantastic on Wednesday night.
He's looked like they did when they won the cup.
Yeah, it's 20. If Bennington can play like 2019 or even close to that, St. Louis is going to be a really dangerous team.
Right, right. And there's another really good player on that team too that, just the Tarasenko player I think is really affecting this team in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there was all this, oh, we couldn't get you traded and all this other stuff, but he is making a go of it. You know what I mean? And I think it's really helped this team along. And I can understand why you have them at number 4. I don't quite have them at number 4. I have Carolina at number 4.
And yeah, another team similar, I think. I think they've had similar start to the years.
Exactly.
Carolina and St. Louis have been pretty similar.
In fact, you could probably, because that's how I have it. I have St. Louis at number 3.
Yeah.
Right. And I have Carolina at number 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Carolina, we both thought, like we were both scratching our head going, what? You letting Nedeljkovic go?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Right? You bring in these other guys who aren't quite as good.
Freddie Anderson's had a really good start to the year.
My concern is that when we get to a certain point, are we going to hit that wall, or are we going to drop off, or can Carolina sustain? That's going to be my only concern. But I have Carolina at number 4, and then I have St. Louis at number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for all the same reasons: Bennington playing better, Tarasenko making a difference, and another player that you're going to talk about on your 3 stars of the week later segment in the show.
Yeah.
Intent, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yes.
But he's one of the other reasons why this team has been playing well too. So.
Absolutely.
And you have for number 3.
I have the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay.
They are 4-0-0 to start the year. They have a +9 goal differential. They're off to a great start. I mean, Edmonton is getting the job done, and they're winning hockey games the way that they should. Maybe this is a little bit unfair, but I feel like I'm knocking Edmonton out of the top 2 because of the quality of opponents that they've played. They haven't played great teams. They've beaten Vancouver, who is not off to a good start. They've beaten Calgary at home, who they definitely should beat. I'm not high on the Flames. They beat the Anaheim Ducks, who actually are off to a pretty solid start for Anaheim standards, or what was expected of them. But that was a 6-5 game. I don't really know how you give up 5 goals to the Anaheim Ducks, but Edmonton still found a way to win the game, which was important. And then they beat the Coyotes, who, I mean, that's basically been a free win so far this season. So I'm maybe holding Edmonton's schedule a little bit against them, but I certainly still have them in the top 3. And I mean, when you start the season 4-0-0, you're certainly winning the games that you're supposed to win. Tonight is a good test for the Edmonton Oilers because they're playing Vegas in Vegas tonight.
Yes.
And then they have Philadelphia on Wednesday next week, and Philly's off to a great start. So I really want to see how Edmonton does against some higher quality opponents. Edmonton certainly could be higher on this list come next week.
Well, okay, I'll put him at 2.
Yeah, I know you have him up there.
With exactly what you said. I mean, they haven't lost a game. They've won every single game they've played so far. All right, it hasn't been against the best teams on the planet, but any given night, any given team can win, quote unquote, right? So, it's still an accomplishment. It's still a feat. I'm still giving them love. I'm still putting them at number 2. They got one of the best players on the ice in Connor McDavid, and then they've got quite the complement of players to go around him now. And the only thing I think they didn't do was address the goaltending. So you're going to probably see some of those quacker games where what they won 6-5.
Yep.
But they still won.
Yeah, that's the important part.
Right? That's the important part. I don't care if they won 6-5 or 5-4, whatever. I don't care. They still won. So Smith is going to be my only question still going into this. If Smith
now he's hurt.
Yeah, see, that's going to be.
Koskinen's taking over now.
Okay.
Yeah,
well.
see that I want to see Edmonton now against some quality opponents, and with Smith being out is definitely a loss there.
Well, I'm sorry, Edmonton. I had you on the list at least second for this week.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Koskinen won last night. We'll see what happens tonight. But yeah, Edmonton's a good team, no doubt. But I have Carolina at number 2.
Yeah.
This was a team that I think a lot of us had so many questions about after the offseason that they had.
Yeah.
And, completely changing their goaltending around, losing Dougie Hamilton, making a lot of the moves that they made, bring in Ethan Bear, bring in Ian Cole, bring in Tony DeAngelo, losing Warren Fogle up front, and then making that, offer sheet move for Kotkaniemi. Like, there was a lot of changes in Carolina, and generally you don't see teams that were as good as the Hurricanes were last year making these level of changes in the offseason. Like, for a lot of these elite teams, their offseason goal is to keep the gang together and, come back with this group and try again. And, you were elite last year. Why wouldn't you be elite again this year? This team made a lot of changes for a team that was, 2 points away from the President's Trophy last season.
Exactly.
But
you know what I mean?
It's worked. Like, they've come out of the gates. They're 3-0-0. They're +7 in goal differential. Freddie Anderson has fit in perfectly fine in goal. They haven't missed a beat offensively. Like, it's worked for Carolina.
Defensively.
And defensively, they're still extremely good. And I think that to me shows that it was more about the team defense for the Carolina Hurricanes than who was in the net. Like, I think they could have made any adequate goaltender look really good with their team defensive play. Like, they made Peter Mrazek and Alex Nedeljkovic look like Vezina Trophy level players.
True.
When, it seems like now they can just plug, they plugged Freddie Anderson into that spot and he's been just as good.
That's great.
He's been just as good. So I think it's more about the team defense for Carolina and that structure that they play with, as opposed to who's in net. And I mean, if Frederik Andersen keeps playing at this level, this team's going to be just as good as they were last year. And my questions about the Hurricanes have been answered, and this has been a very impressive team to me to start this year.
For me to have them on the list, for me to be talking about them, for me to be agreeing with a lot of the things you're saying, is I also agree with you. I think Carolina has answered the bell. We had a lot of question marks with them coming into this season based off of what they did in the offseason. Let's face it, a team that goes that deep into the playoffs usually doesn't have that much turnover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's exactly with what you say. They're all trying to, keep everybody together,
Yep.
and try to make another run. But I also think it has a lot to say about the coaching down there in Carolina too, where Rod Brindamore just seems to be
Oh,
able to get the best out of the players that he's got.
he's absolutely one of the best coaches in the NHL right now.
Very much proving now his deserving of the Jack Adams Award last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? So, all right, buddy. I think we're both in agreement here on number one.
Yeah. We talked about them a lot earlier. I mean, nobody has come out of the gate as dominant as the Florida Panthers. And I think that's just what it comes down to for me for why they're number one. I mean, all these other teams, are undefeated or haven't lost in regulation as well. But to me, the most dominant team has been the Florida Panthers. They've got a plus 11 goal differential already. They're 4-0-0, and they're beating good teams. It's not like they're coming out and beating up on, Ottawa
Arizona
and
Ottawa.
Arizona and like these bottom teams. Like they are coming out and they are beating Colorado. They're beating Tampa Bay. They're beating Pittsburgh. They're beating the Islanders. Like this has just been a 100% thoroughly impressive start for the Florida Panthers, and right now they got to be number one.
When you look at their quote-unquote strength of schedule,
yep,
every single team that they've played and beaten so far this season was a playoff team from last year.
From last year, absolutely, yep.
Okay, so when you can come out and beat those teams like that,
yep,
that says a lot. Look, Florida, I believe, took a step forward last year, and surprised a lot of people. I think the only thing that they're going to be surprised about is just how good they really are going to be.
Yeah.
Because Bob had his 300th win. You got gosh, man, how do you classify Spencer Knight? The best goalie prospect to hit the NHL since Bob or something like that. I mean, where do you put Spencer Knight in that?
I think Vasilevsky is
right.
probably the best prospect in recent memory, but I mean Knight definitely best young goaltender in the past 3 to 4 years without a doubt, Spencer Knight.
Exactly. So to have that tandem in Florida with the coaching staff that they do and the fact that they're able to roll 4 lines, Florida is going to be a hard team to play against, folks. I'm here to tell you. So I also have them at number one. And gosh, man, this was the easiest pick. There wasn't even a question.
This was
pick on this whole list.
Before I even thought about this, I knew Florida was number one.
Right? They were the first ones that went on the list. Like everybody else was like, oh man, no, I switched some things around, and oh no, you know what I mean. But Florida was definitely on the list right away.
The rest of the list was hard to order. Florida at number one was no questions asked.
Agreed, 100%. Man,
all right. So
top shelf.
That's top shelf. Those are our power rankings right now in the NHL. And now it's time to take a look back on the games last week, and we're each going to pick which one we thought was the best game of the past week. So, Steele, I'll let you go first here. What was your top game from this past week?
All right. Well, you're probably not going to like this one.
I know what it is.
Yeah, I know.
You are very much going to like this.
I'm very much going to like it, but I was very much taken aback by this game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm saying this. Look, I'm not doing this because I'm putting my Homer glasses on. I'm not saying this game because I'm putting my Flyers fans glasses on. That's not why I'm saying this. I'm saying this because I felt Boston was going to be a much better team this year than what they were last year. I felt Philly was going to be an improved team, but I felt that they needed to play Boston and win against them in order to prove whether or not they were there as a contender or potential. You know what I'm saying? Philly.
It was a measuring stick.
Thank you. Gosh, I couldn't think. I can't. Blah, 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 blah. It was a measuring stick for the Flyers, and the fact that they just came out and was just skating around them.
Yep.
I was completely blown away. I watched the Flyers' first game against Vancouver and was like, meh.
Yeah.
They gave up 4 goals, 1 goal in the shootout. Philly historically always stinks in the shootout. So I was like, man, it was Vancouver, and we all kind of thought Vancouver was going to be an improved team this year, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, all right, Vancouver, okay, I'll take that. We get a point, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right? And then, but the game against Boston was, that game was like, that to me was the first measuring stick for the Flyers based off of the massive amount of turnover. We talked about a team at the top making turnaround like in Carolina. A lot of players moving and coming and going.
Yep.
Philadelphia had they pretty much just hit the old and flushed down about a third of the team and he plucked off a whole new crop. You know what I mean? So to me, that Boston game on the 20th of October.
Yeah. Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night. My goodness, man. What happened?
It was not a good performance from the Bruins.
Swayman.
Defense in general was horrendous.
Whoa.
Yeah.
First I was like, whoa. And then I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was a
Boston.
Poor performance from the Boston Bruins. Totally different than they played in their first game, which was actually a very good one against Dallas. Luckily, I've got the scores from NHL.com up, and the Bruins did bounce back tonight with a big 4-1 win over Buffalo. So the Bruins get back on track, but the Wednesday night's game was a disaster for the Bruins, especially defensively.
Yeah.
They looked horrible. Swayman certainly probably his worst game as an NHLer in goal, although it certainly wasn't all on him. He got hung out to dry. He got out to dry.
He did.
Yeah, that was an impressive game for the Flyers. They came out, they scored that first goal, and when they scored that first goal, that was kind of like something just clicked for them, and they were like, we are taking this game. And every time Boston tried to come back, the Flyers would go and get that next goal and just take that lead away. And
exactly.
That was a good win. And Philadelphia has had a good week. I mean, that win over the Bruins, and then Monday night they destroyed Seattle.
Right.
And it was a good week for the Flyers. And if they play at this level, you're talking about that Metro division being clogged up with so many good teams. The Flyers are inserting themselves into that category of being a really good team if they can continue to play this way.
One thing that really impressed me the most about Philadelphia, because their backup goaltender, Martin Jones, played an amazing game.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was the biggest question going into Philadelphia this year for me, was their goaltending. Yep. Can Carter Hart be back to the way he was? And he looked good in preseason, but looked meh in the first game, and then the second game looked a lot better.
Yep.
Like a lot better. And then Martin Jones played really, really well. And I was impressed with that too. So yeah, that was what my best game of last week is. And the only reason why I picked this game because you, Mr. John, the GOAT, which, since he is the GOAT, he gets to steal the good ones. So go ahead, John. What was your best game of last week?
Yeah, my pick, which was also Steele's original pick, but I stole it, was the Winnipeg Jets against the Minnesota Wild. From Tuesday night, this was a wild game, as crazy of a
wild game from the
sorry. No pun intended, a wild game from the Minnesota Wild. About as crazy of a last 5 minutes as you could get. Minnesota ends up coming back from being down 5-3 in the third period with about 5 minutes to go. They score 2 goals at the end of the third to tie it up at 5, and then they win it in overtime to win the game 6-5. A huge comeback from the Minnesota Wild. Joel Eriksson Ek scored a hat trick that he finished off with the overtime winning goal. And we had a big fight between Marcus Foligno and Brendan Dillon, which featured a Superman punch that we haven't seen since Kevin Bieksa did it a number of years back. Now, Bieksa did that multiple times in his career, but if you remember, he did it twice in one season. I forget what year it was, but he did it against Andy Andreoff and Radko Gudas in the same season. But we haven't seen a good Superman punch since then. Foligno tried it against Brendan Dillon. He didn't really connect, but it was still really fun to see. But this game had it all. It was physical. It was division rivals between Winnipeg and Minnesota. It had a fight.
I was going to say it was messy.
You had a ton of goals.
Ugly.
You had a ton of goals, 11 in total. It was a 6-5 overtime win. So you had an overtime game. You had a hat trick. I mean, this game literally had everything for hockey fans, and for that reason, for me, it's the game of the week.
One thing it didn't have was a Gordie Howe.
Yeah, Foligno was only missing the assist. Marcus Foligno had a goal in a fight. He just missed the assist.
Okay, so see, man, look, this just goes to show you what same page we're on.
Yeah, I looked it up because I was like, wait, did Foligno get the Gordie?
No, I know he had the goal.
He had the goal in the third period
and the fight.
He had the fight, but he did not get the assist.
That's why I had to mention it.
Yes,
because we were close. Yes, we were that close away. So that's why this game had everything. And I couldn't agree with you more. This was one of the most entertaining games because at the first 30 minutes of this game was kind of like, and one team would score, and then another team would score and tie it back up. You know what I mean? And it would just kind of go back and forth like you were floating along on a nice little boat. You know what I mean? Until you get to the last 5 minutes, and then it was like hurricane.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, man, I'm with you on that for sure. I really like this game. It's a good game. So.
All right. So those are our best games from this past week. Now it's time to take a little bit closer look at some players, as it brings us now into 3 stars of the week. So these are 3 stars based on just this past week of action. So last Friday through yesterday. Obviously tonight we don't really, I mean, I can see scores, but we don't really know what happened as far as individual performances tonight. So so it's through Thursday. So from Friday to Thursday. Friday through Thursday this past week. These are what we think are the 3 stars of the week. And I see we got 2 out of the 3 the same, one of them different, but certainly everyone deserving. We have our number 3 star the same, so we might as well just talk about them, both of us here. It's Igor Shesterkin from the New York Rangers. Goaltender who has gone 3-0-0 with a .971 save percentage and a 0.99 goals against average this past week. He stopped 99 out of 102 shots against. What a week for Igor Shesterkin.
Man, can you say the Shesterkin wall?
Yeah, honestly.
Right? Or
I'm thinking, it's very, very early, but I'm thinking you start looking at awards, Vezina Trophy candidate, possibly.
When you have a .971 save percentage and your goals against is a paltry .99. Yeah, that's getting it done. And in 3 games too. And not playing slouch teams either.
No.
So
and facing a lot of shots, 102 shots against in 3 games. It's 34 shots per game. It's not like he went out there and only had to make 20 saves.
And it's the second most number of shots being faced so far, not including tonight. But that's the second most number of shots on a goaltender so far this season. I think the top one is what, 109 or 108,
Yeah, somewhere around there. I'm
something
not
like
sure, but
that. It's
he's
not
faced
that
a lot of
far.
shots.
Yeah.
It's not like the defense has been shut down and he's only had to face 20 shots a night. Like, he's had to face a lot of rubber, and he's stopped almost all of it.
Like, yeah, a good
Like
lot of it. So
97% of it.
yeah, like 0.971%. Yeah, anyway, but yeah. All right. So for your second star,
Yes.
who do you have for your second star of the week, sir?
Mine is Jordan Kairu from the St. Louis
Yeah.
Blues. Young
Mhm.
player up in St. Louis, having a big impact early in this season. He's been on fire to start the year, and over this past week, he played 3 games for the Blues, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points, a +6 rating. He's
Wow.
only playing like 14 minutes a night, and he's not getting much for power play time. 6 out of his 7 points have been even strength. So it's not
Wow.
like he's just out there racking up points on the power play. Like, he is being a difference maker
Yeah.
at
5
even
on 5.
strength for the St.
Yeah.
Louis Blues, who, all as I talked about, off to a great start. Kairu has been a big reason why, with 7 points in 3 games.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's why I alluded to that
Yep.
when we were talking about St. Louis in our power rankings segment, because Kairu is one of those types of players that is contributing and is one of the reasons why St. Louis is where they are right now in the standings, is because he's been able to play, especially in the even strength arena. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and he's not a big name. He's not the Ryan O'Reilly. He's not the Braden Shen. He's not the
you
Vladimir
know,
Tarasenko. Like,
Senko, yeah.
he's
Who the
not a
heck is
big name, but
Jordan
he's a
Kairu?
very good young player, and he's having a fantastic start to the year.
I hope we get to put him in the list a few more times,
I do too,
because
yeah.
I'll be real honest with you. I really considered putting him in the list.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. But for my number 2, I put Kyle Connor
Yeah.
from Winnipeg.
Yep.
In 3 games played, he has 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points. He is a +1. He's got 21 minutes of ice time. Okay. So for for Kyle Connor to be doing that kind of good for Winnipeg, because let's face it, Winnipeg is not quite where they should be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
they've had a rough start, but Connor's been good.
yeah, exactly. And he's been doing everything he can.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? So in 3 games, 4 goals, that's kind of why I put him over Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
But I could have flip-flopped those 2.
Yeah, I mean, if you're scoring over a goal per game, you are certainly helping your team and being one of the guys pushing the team in the right direction for sure. And Kyle Connor, despite Winnipeg's struggles out of the gate, he's getting it done offensively.
Agreed. All right, man. This brings us back to our number 1 star of the week.
Yep.
And gosh, we're both in agreement on this one too. Go figure.
Yeah. Connor McDavid. He's on this list a lot. He was last year, and I'm sure he's going to be this year as well.
Yep.
This guy is just unbelievable. I mean, we haven't seen this level of offense in the NHL in a long time.
Since Lemieux, since Gretzky, since we rattled off those names of guys that he's in that rarefied air with now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I mean, peak Sidney Crosby, like when he was scoring 120 points a year, was close, but like this level of offense from Connor McDavid is just, I mean, it's incredible for the current era of the NHL. And 3 games played, he has 6 goals, 3 assists, 9 points in 3 games. Over the past week, he has been averaging 3 points a game. Is +3, has a game-winning goal, a bunch of power play points, playing over 21 minutes a night. Like, It's just, I mean, you talk about what's happened with scoring in the NHL and how it was really high back in the 80s and early 90s, and then it dipped, and the trap came into the game, and scoring went to bottom out. And then over the last few years, scoring's picked up again. Connor McDavid is riding that wave of scoring picking up again, and his
Or he's
point
the
totals,
reason why.
yeah, well, he's certainly playing a role in why, and he's riding that wave of the game opening up a little bit more and individual point totals rising in the NHL. And he's averaging 3 points a game in the past week. I mean, this is a guy that should easily hit 120 this year and has a shot maybe for 150 points.
I mean, gosh, we were talking about him getting this many points last year, and there was only 56 games.
Yeah.
I mean, no, we weren't really talking about him getting this many points, but still, the fact that if you projected out his totals from last year, he could have projected to have over 100 points for the season.
Well, he did. He had 105 last year and 50. What did he play? 54 games or something?
Yeah. I think he missed like 2 or 3 games. So, I mean. No, but I mean to eclipse 120 or whatever.
Oh, he definitely would have if it was an 82-game season. Absolutely.
Right. Exactly. So, we should just stop now, right, and turn everything off and come back on and be like, hey, welcome to the Connor McDavid show. So, you know what I mean? Like, all we've done so far this show is talk about Connor McDavid. Mm-hmm. How can you not? Though, how can you not? I mean, 5 power play points, 3 power play goals.
Yep.
In 1 week. It's like, do you even? I mean, I don't even know. Could you put him in the same breath as like the Ovechkin, where he's just, okay, Connor, all we need you to do is shoot the puck.
Yep.
Because that's not how he plays. He's very depth with the puck. He's got good stick handling skills. He's got soft hands. He's got great vision. He makes good plays. You see what I'm saying? He's got the whole game covered.
Yeah. So let's see. I'm looking up right now the last player to score 150 points in an NHL season. And what I'm coming up with is Mario Lemieux in 1995-1996.
Wow.
Had 161 points in 70 games played.
In 70 games
He only played 70 games that year and had 161 points.
That was what, 96?
That was 1995-96 for Mario Lemieux. That is what I'm seeing as the last player to score 150 points in an NHL season. I honestly think McDavid has a shot at it this year.
Gosh, wouldn't that be amazing?
I definitely think if he plays, at least, say 80 games, we'll give him a couple off, but from the full 82. But let's say he plays 80 games. I think he absolutely scores 120, no questions asked. I think he has a shot at 150.
Okay.
I don't know if he'll get there, but he has a shot.
I agree. I mean, we were putting odds on him getting a lot of points last year, and he didn't disappoint. So
no, he got over 100 in a 56-game season. So
exactly.
I feel like he at least has a chance.
Can't disagree with you on that one, my man. And there you have it, folks. Those were our 3 stars of this past week.
Yep.
And now we're going to get into another little section here that we really like too. It's the 3 hottest and of course the 3 coldest.
Yeah.
And man, I'll tell you what, there's been some surprises on both sides of the spectrum on this one, I would say, right?
Definitely, for sure. And as always, we go through the hottest first because we like to be positive, and then we'll deal with the other side of things after. But for the sake of time, we'll just go 3, 2, 1 through our lists here. Our lists look pretty similar. I think we have one difference on the hottest side, and our cold list is exactly the same. So this hottest teams, you can go first, Steele. Let me know what you think. Hottest teams right now in the NHL.
Only because it's the beginning of the year and there's the log jam of teams that haven't lost yet. So this is going to just bear with me for the first couple weeks. So just deal with it. Sorry. I have Washington/New York here at number 3 as far as hottest teams. Washington's come out of the gate and has looked extremely well. Taking a step back, New York Rangers lost that first game, but have not looked back since, and have definitely put the pedal to the metal as far as that's concerned. Shesterkin looking really good down there, and then the goaltending tandem as well in Washington looking really good.
Yeah.
So number 2 for me, hottest team, Edmonton.
Yep.
Gosh, they haven't lost a game yet. In fact, none of the teams that are on this list have lost.
Yep. Correct.
Right, they're all undefeated teams. But Edmonton for me, number 2, just because they just seem to be that little step better. And I just like them as one of the hotter teams. And then, of course, the hottest of hots, the Florida Panthers.
Yes.
I mean, just I don't even know what to say, man. They're just, I really like what they've done. I like how Bob has played. I like that Spencer Knight was sprinkled in there for that one game. You know what I mean? And I think you're going to start seeing him sprinkled in more. It all depends on how Bob plays.
Yeah.
He's at his Vezina Columbus days already. So as long as Bob keeps playing this way, you're going to see Spencer, on the back-to-backs and stuff like that. But man, with that goaltending tandem and that offense and that defense, Florida, big-time dangerous team.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. My number 3 team, and I could have put a lot of different teams here. I mean, Carolina, Washington, San Jose, undefeated to start the year.
Gosh. Wait, no, stop. No. Did you say San Jose?
San Jose, undefeated to start the season.
I know.
There were a number of teams I could have put here at 3, but I went with the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the Blues are a team that has just kind of surprised me with how good they are or have looked so far. And I don't know. I'm really high on what I've seen from the St. Louis Blues so far. So I put them in at number 3, although that could have been any of those other undefeated teams as well.
Yeah.
Or even the New York Rangers, who have lost but have won 3 straight and have looked good. But St. Louis at 3-0-0, I got them at 3. At number 2, I have the Edmonton Oilers, just like you, 4-0-0, won their first 4 games of the season. They've been impressive. They're scoring a ton of goals, obviously led by Connor McDavid, but they've gotten offense from other places as well. They're off to a really, really good start, particularly offensively. And at number 1, of course, is the Florida Panthers. I mean, we've talked about them a lot in the power rankings that, just nobody to me has been as dominant as the Florida Panthers out of the gate. So I got them at number 1.
I couldn't agree with you more on that one for sure. That's why I have them at number 1 as well, too. And with that, folks, we go to the cold side or the negative side.
Yeah, the unfortunate side of things.
Yes, there you go, the unfortunate side. And just because all of the teams that we have on here are all the same and in the same order, gosh, none of these teams have won. Yeah. All the teams we're going to talk about have not won a single game. Yeah. And I'm just going to say it from number 3 to number 1. Number 3, Arizona. Number 2, Chicago. Number 1, Montreal. Yes. We've already discussed Montreal.
Yeah, we talked a lot about all of these teams at the beginning with the top stories. None of them have won a game yet. Arizona's 0-3-1. Chicago's 0-4-1. Montreal's 0-5-0. It's been bad starts.
I don't even see it getting any better in Arizona anytime soon.
No,
Arizona, I'm not seeing it getting any better in Montreal anytime soon.
No, Arizona was a team we kind of expected to be here. Like going into the season, we saw their roster. We saw what they did this offseason where they basically just took on unwanted big contracts and added draft picks. They are openly in a rebuilding process right now. We expected this from Arizona. I think Chicago and Montreal, though, are quite a bit bigger of surprises. And not that we necessarily thought they were going to be great teams, but we thought they'd be better than this. And for them to come out of the gate and both of them not have a win through 5 games, it's been a very disappointing start for both teams.
Exactly. Seeing as how we were probably expecting to have teams like Anaheim and
Buffalo, who's actually been good. San Jose, who's come out really, really good.
Right. The teams that we expected to be on this list aren't.
It's been a weird start to the year.
It has. But, man, I'll tell you what, with that, we're going to get into one of our fun sections.
Oh yeah, this is always a ton of fun.
So that is our Saturday night matchups.
Yes, game picks for Saturday, where we at least try to pick who's going to win tomorrow's
That's a
games.
good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Try,
lightning round, and we just go through and pick who we think's going to win. How did we do last week?
Last week. All right. So last week we were both 9-5.
Solid. Okay. That's very solid.
Very solid. We missed I picked Detroit over Vancouver. That was mine. I picked Tampa Bay over Washington. That was mine.
Yep.
You picked the Kings over Minnesota. That was yours. And you picked Ottawa over Toronto. That was yours. So those were the ones where we disagreed, and we both won 2 and lost. And lost 2. Yep. So there you go.
The rest
all right,
them,
my man.
Yep, the rest of them we all agreed on.
Yep. These are the games for the 23rd. That's this coming Saturday. We've got a full slate of games, man, so let's get right into it. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. New York at Ottawa.
I wish I knew the goaltending matchup for this, because if it was Shesterkin in for the Rangers, I'd be obviously going Rangers all day. If it's Georgiev, I'm not as confident, but I'm still going to take the New York Rangers. Even though it's a road game, I'm going with the Rangers. They're hot right now.
Yeah. Ottawa's also, I was a little surprised with Tkachuk coming out and then not being able to be as influential in his first game.
Mm-hmm.
To say the least.
Yep.
I think it's going to take a little while for him to get his sea legs under him, and it ain't going to happen against the Rangers.
All right, there we go.
Got the Rangers on this one.
We both on New York.
Okay, next game is Calgary versus the Capitals.
Capitals. I think they're just firing right now.
This isn't even really. I thought this was supposed to be what? No, this isn't even. Okay, next. I just don't think Calgary is going to be able to. Of course, then you know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Right? Calgary's going to come into Washington and just stomp all over me. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's an afternoon game, too. Those get weird sometimes with the matinees, the 1 o'clock starts, but Cap should have that.
I'm with you. All right, Anaheim versus Minnesota.
I've been impressed with Anaheim so far this season, but Minnesota's just too good. Like, Minnesota's off to a really good start.
I agree. I have been really impressed with how Zuccarello and the guys have been playing there in Minnesota, and I'm actually looking for the coach up there to win potentially the
Dean
coach
Evison,
of the year.
yeah.
Dean Evison. He was up for it last year, but lost to Brind'Amour. But Dean Evison, I think, has got that Minnesota team playing well above where we thought they were going to be.
Yeah, they've been really good out of the gate.
Exactly. Nashville at Winnipeg.
Neither of these teams have gotten off to good starts, but Winnipeg did just pick up a big win now that they're finally on home ice. They started with a road trip, and they looked better once they went back home. This is in Winnipeg. I'm going to go with the Jets.
Yeah, I am too, because Nashville I'm just not on there yet.
No.
Just not on there yet. I've seen flashes from Winnipeg.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So its potential is there more so for Winnipeg. We all thought that Winnipeg was going to be a better team. You know, they have a much better goalie.
Yeah.
Up there anyway. You know what I mean? So, all right. Detroit versus Montreal in Montreal.
Oh, boy. This is a tough one. Detroit did not impress me with their last game. They got shut out by Dallas. Montreal hasn't impressed anybody with anything they've done this season,
including us.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Montreal's got to win sometime. They got to win at some point.
All right.
I'm just gonna. Montreal at some point has got to win a game. I'm gonna go with the Canadiens.
All right, I'll go the other way. I'll take Detroit on this one.
Neither team. Well, actually, Detroit started off okay, but their last game just really disappointed me.
Not so good, right? This is the battle of the teams.
The teams that were supposed to be great that haven't started that way.
Right. That's what I mean. The battle of the teams.
Colorado against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, man. In Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go with the Lightning because they're at home. I'm not overly confident in that, but I'm not overly confident in either of these teams right now because neither of them are playing that well. But I'm going to take the Lightning.
I am too, just because they're the defending champs, but I really could pick Colorado here, but I'm not really impressed.
Not impressed. I'm not impressed with either of them.
So far. All right, Buffalo versus New Jersey. This is probably going to be a really good game to watch.
Yeah, honestly. Man, New Jersey, they started off good, but then they lost Jack Hughes to the separated shoulder.
Yeah, that's a tough blow,
Bernier's injured, so they don't really have a goaltender. Scott Wedgwood's their goaltender right now. I'm going to go Buffalo. I'm gonna. It's weird. I feel weird saying that, but I think the Sabres, because New Jersey doesn't have a real NHL goaltender right now, and they don't have Jack Hughes. So,
ladies and gentlemen, it's October 22nd, and Steel Flyers and John from Off the Wall Hockey have picked the team Buffalo over New Jersey Devils to win a game. Oh my gosh! I don't think we picked Buffalo to win a game at all last year, did we?
Probably not.
Nope. Florida versus Philly.
Oh, talk about one of the best games of the weekend. Oh, man, this is so tough. But I've talked about Florida being the most dominant team to start the year. I'm going to go with the Panthers. Until I see something to change that, I'm going to go with the Panthers, which might be this game because Philly's off to a great start, too.
Okay, so now is where you see where the rubber meets the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I think Florida is better right now than Philly.
Yep.
So I'm going Florida. Look, I got to be pulling for black and orange, but I'll tell you what, man, that Florida team it's going to be a little bit of a reunion here with Yandel playing against his old team here too. So, and it's in Philly. So
it's
I can't believe I'm picking against my team, but I just think Florida. This has that overtime flavor.
Yeah, Florida's number one on our list for a reason.
Yep, can't disagree with it. And it doesn't even matter who starts.
No, it could be Bobrovsky or Knight. They're both so good, like right now.
All right, Toronto and Pittsburgh.
This is a tough one, but I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Pitt.
I just can't pick Toronto for anything yet. I'm just not feeling them yet.
That's just a gut decision, Pittsburgh.
Me too. Just I'm not feeling Toronto yet. Carolina at Columbus Blue Jackets.
Carolina. I like the way they've started the season. They've looked really solid.
And actually, Columbus, not so bad.
Not bad for Columbus.
Not bad, all things considered.
No, but I just think Carolina is a high-end opponent.
Yeah, Carolina, all day. Yeah. All right, LA Kings versus St. Louis. Oh, here you go.
St. Louis Blues. I mean, I've talked so much about that. I'm so impressed with the Blues so far.
This has the feel of an upset, but I have to go with St. Louis.
Yeah. Because
I think LA is climbing the ladder.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That they might not be there yet, but if Kopitar has another good game, you know what I mean, and their goaltending stays solid, then they have a chance to beat St. Louis. Yeah. I'm picking St. Louis, but All right, New York Islanders at Arizona.
New York Islanders. I know they haven't started the season well, but Arizona feels like a free win right now. At least they have been so far. So I'll take the Isles.
Oh, gosh. Do you have any idea how conflicted I am right now?
Feels like this could be a game that Arizona could steal.
Yes.
And, they got to win at some point. They're not going to lose 82 games.
I wrote it. I put it in. I picked Arizona.
Yeah, I feel, honestly, they could steal that game.
Yeah. Because the New York Islanders are just not quite.
But man, the Islanders fans would be very.
I know,
angry
man. I'm telling you, Isle Girl's gonna kill me. I'm sorry. All right, Vancouver versus Seattle.
Seattle's home opener, first game ever in their home rink. You bet I've got the Seattle Kraken in this game.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm going Seattle. You can't lose your first
Nope.
game ever on home ice.
Well, we said that about banner raising night for Tampa Bay, and what did they do? They just got housed by Pittsburgh. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. No, I'm going with Seattle
Yep,
here.
Seattle all day. Yep. With you on that one for sure.
Get the job done, boys.
That's right. Get that Kraken out there and get it going. All right, man. Here we go. Lightning round here for our games of the week.
Yep.
Okay. John, who do you got for the upcoming matches? Aside from these Saturday matches, look, there's some really good Saturday matches here, but games of the week, a game that you have looking forward to this coming week.
Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh, Tuesday night, the 26th in Pittsburgh. It's a rematch of opening night, just in the other city. And obviously two teams here that are, at least supposed to be really good hockey teams. Tampa Bay hasn't exactly started great, but that's one of the things that I think makes it one of the games of the week is that Tampa right now is desperate for a big win.
Yep.
And especially after the way that Pittsburgh handled them on opening night, I think Tampa is going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder for this game. So I expect it to be a really fun one, a really good game. And I think that's going to be one of the best matchups of this coming week for sure.
With Tampa Bay missing Kucherov now, that puts them kind of at the same level of Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh missing Malkin and Crosby, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of feel that game there is going to be a toss-up game there, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to agree with you, man. That's going to be one to definitely check out. I'm going to go one a night later.
Yep.
On Wednesday, the 27th, division rivals going head to head, and that's Boston versus Florida.
Yep.
Ooh.
I'm not excited for this game as a Bruins fan.
Boston needs this game.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, Florida's so good right now.
But
it is going to be a great game, though.
They played well tonight.
Yep.
Right? And I think, look, as long as Swayman can just have a short memory and just brush that, drubbing off from the Flyers, and as long as he can continue to play, and Ullman, he might get some more starts too.
Yeah, Omar played tonight and won. So
okay, yeah, and so it's going to come for Boston. It might not be right to second, but I still think, man, they just, you can't write Boston off. You just can't.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a high profile matchup right there in the Atlantic Division.
Yep. There you go, buddy. All right, man. It's one of our other favorite sections. We have so many favorite segments.
Yeah, they're all our favorites.
They're all of our favorites.
No, this is a good one, though. I love doing this.
I love doing this, too, because it gives us a chance to look at the youth of the league coming up through. And this is our prospect watch, where we get a chance to break down one of the up-and-comers into the league and give you a little glimpse into their hockey life as it's coming up through here. So, John, why don't you kick us off here with your prospect watch for this week?
So my prospect for this week is Carter Savoy, a winger. 19 years old, 5'9", but 192 pounds. Like it's interesting seeing that high of a weight on a player that's only 5'9". That means he's got some thickness to him.
I was just gonna say he's thick.
He's got some thickness to him. He's got some muscle mass on that body for sure. So I don't think the size is going to be a problem for Savoy. He was drafted in the 4th round back in 2020, 100th overall by the Edmonton Oilers. And let me tell you, the Edmonton Oilers got themselves a up-and-coming scorer here with Carter Savoy. And his size certainly hasn't been a problem for him in college. He plays at the University of Denver right now. Through Denver's first 4 games of the season, he has 5 goals, 6 assists for 11 points and a +8 rating. He's mainly a left wing, but he can play the right side if you need him to.
Okay.
He's a versatile scoring winger. He had 13 goals last year as a freshman. This year, as a sophomore, he already has 5 through just the first 4 games. This guy can put the puck in the net. He can dish the puck as well. He's got 11 points already. And I think Edmonton has got themselves a guy that in the future is going to be a pretty good winger in the NHL. At least it looks like he's headed that way right now.
And it doesn't look like that future is going to be that far
No,
away.
he's 19 and putting up numbers like this.
Yeah,
no.
that bodes well for you getting out on the big club ice much sooner than later.
Yeah.
I'm going with just because I had to.
Yep.
With the news of Jack Hughes being hurt, I selected his brother Luke Hughes,
Yep.
who is the 18-year-old younger brother of Jack Hughes,
Yep.
of New Jersey Devils fame. His younger brother's slightly bigger,
Yep.
6 foot tall, 184 pounds, D-man, shoots left.
Yep.
He was the 4th overall selected player by the New Jersey Devils in this past draft in 2021.
Yep.
Played for the United States national team. He's now playing for the University of Michigan, the Wolverines.
Mhm.
That's right. That's Big Ten territory right there, and that is a good college team. And
Number
you know
one
that's
right now.
That's exactly right. And in 4 games played as a defenseman, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points, and is a +8 with 4 penalty minutes.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that Hughes family, they know how to play hockey.
They're good at hockey, that's for sure. All 3 brothers.
Yeah, that's right. There's another one too. I forgot there was another one. Oh my gosh,
Quinn.
man.
Yeah.
Quinn. Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh. Talk about like, so it's the Stalls, right?
Yep.
And now we got the
Hughes.
Hughes, so man, I'll tell you what. Great player, great young kid, man. You get him up there with New Jersey and the rest of that gang that's going on up there in New Jersey, man, that team is going to be lights out here maybe in the next 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at an 18-year-old kid who's a freshman on the team and not even the number 1 defenseman on the team.
No.
Because the number 1 overall pick, Owen Power, also plays at the University of Michigan. But this year's Michigan team is absolutely loaded. It is national championship or bust for this team. They've got Owen Power, Luke Hughes, Matty Beniers, Kent Johnson. All 4 of those guys were top 10 draft picks in this past draft. You had Power at 1, Beniers at 2, Hughes at 4, and I forget where Johnson went. It was like 5th or 6th, something.
5th or 6th, I think. Yeah.
You've got top 10 picks loaded on this Michigan team, and it's national championship or bust for them. Hughes, obviously, point per game out of the gate, +8. I mean, God, it's just what a player, what a team, and I have a feeling he's going to be in the NHL very, very sooner rather than later.
I think both of these players that we talked about today on the show for our Prospect Watch have a much faster trip to the ice for their prospective big clubs than most of the other Prospect Watches that we've covered or talked about. So, yeah, I'm with you on that, man. Both of these players look like they're going to be hitting the big club ice much sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But that's Prospect Watch, everybody. We always like to look on some of the young and up-and-coming talent that hasn't quite made it yet, but is definitely looking like they're going to in the future. So always a fun segment to do for sure. And that is going to bring us now to the end of episode 40. Can't believe we've done 40 episodes of this already, Steele. But the NHL season is well underway now. We're a little over a week in. And we've gotten, a little bit of an idea of how teams are starting out, at least. Obviously, it's a long year. We still got another, 5.5, 6 months of hockey to go.
Darn.
Plenty of hockey left.
Oh,
but
darn. 6 more months of hockey? Darn.
But it's definitely a fun start. So, Steele, as always, thank you so much for being here and doing the show.
You got it, my man. Thank you very much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and it's a great blessing to be here on the show with you, my man. This is a hockey show for hockey fans. We cover the entire NHL. Look, you know that John is a big Boston fan. You know that I'm a big Flyers fan, but we are also hockey fans. We care a lot about this league, and we're trying to present this to you guys so that you get as much information about the league as possible. So even though we might have our own special favorite teams that we like, we would like to bring you guys all the latest and all the truth about the NHL. That's why we do this show. So thank you very much, John, for all you do and all the hard work you do, man. You're the one that makes this show look this good. And thank you very much for doing it, man.
Well, thank you. And thank you to everybody for watching here tonight, and any of you that happen to be watching or listening later. Obviously, we would not be here without you guys, the audience. So thank you guys so much for that. And that's going to bring us to the end here of episode 40, the Off the Wall Hockey Show, a hockey show for hockey fans, part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. Be sure to check out www.steelflyers.com to check out the work of not only me, but everyone at Steel Flyers, including Steel, Peyton, Perlo, Joe, the whole gang. It's all there at steelflyers.com. And hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back next week with episode 41 and a whole new week of NHL action to discuss. That's going to do it for us here tonight. Thank you guys again so much, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.